She cheated on me last night. Or maybe it was last week. Last month. Hell, maybe it had been happening for longer than I even knew. But last night was when the last puzzle piece slid into place. The moment when I saw the truth staring back at me through the cold glow of my phone screen. Emily always had a way of making things sound poetic. "I need to find myself," she had said, tracing the rim of her wine glass with a manicured finger. "I feel like I've been stuck in one place for too long." At the time, I thought she was talking about us. About the life we had built together over 10 years. Our perfect little home, our weekend getaways, the way we could finish each other's sentences. I thought she meant she needed a break from the stress, the monotony, the expectations. So when she booked a solo trip to Bali for a month-long wellness retreat, I swallowed my unease and smiled like a good husband should. I told her I understood, that I supported her, that I wanted her to be happy. And then, last night, while scrolling mindlessly through Instagram, I saw him. At first, it was just the edge of a frame, a blurred reflection in the glossy glass of her cocktail. A hint of a man, broad shoulders, a tanned arm resting too comfortably on the back of her chair. But that was all it took. I knew in my gut that something was wrong. I clicked on her story, re-watching it with laser focus. My heart pounded as I scrolled back through her photos, through her posts about self-discovery and healing energy. And then I saw it. A video, taken by someone else, tagged at a private villa. Not the serene, temple-like retreat she had gushed about before leaving. And there he was. Not a guru, not a wellness coach, not some wise old monk teaching her the secrets of inner peace. A man I recognized immediately. Jared, the personal trainer she had hired 6 months ago. The one who had been all too charming, all too attentive. The one I had caught her smiling at a little too long after her sessions, brushing off my concerns with a playful, "Oh, don't be jealous." I had trusted her. I had trusted them. Now, I sat alone in our too-quiet house, my phone still open to the damning image. My mind raced between rage and humiliation, between heartbreak and something colder, something calculating. She didn't know I knew. Not yet. And I wasn't going to confront her. Not immediately. Because if she thought she could play me for a fool, she was about to find out exactly what kind of man she had underestimated. I didn't sleep. Not really. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of betrayal settle into my bones. Every second that passed felt like a new knife in my back. I imagined them together, laughing, tangled in sheets that weren't ours, whispering secrets that used to belong to me. But I didn't break. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction of an impulsive, rage-fueled confrontation. No. If she was playing a game, then I'd play it better. At 7 a.m. sharp, my phone vibrated on the nightstand. A message from Emily. "Emily, morning, my love. Just finished sunrise meditation. Thinking of you. Red heart." I almost laughed. Thinking of me? Yeah, I bet she was. Thinking about how to keep her lies perfectly wrapped up in the illusion of self-discovery. I stared at the screen for a long time before I replied. "Me, that sounds amazing, Em. I miss you." Short. Simple. Just enough to keep her feeling safe. Because that's what I needed. Time. Time to plan. Time to unravel the perfect little web she had spun around me. I got up and went through the motions of my morning routine. Coffee. Shower. A fresh shirt. But everything felt different now, like I was moving through a world that wasn't real. My wife was half a world away, lying to my face, and yet she had no idea that I had already seen through her. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at our wedding photo on the wall. Emily in her white dress, smiling like she had the whole world ahead of her. Me, standing beside her, completely unaware of the future she'd rewrite without me. The thought made my chest tighten, but I forced myself to focus. I needed to know everything. I opened my laptop and pulled up her travel itinerary. She had booked a luxury retreat at a resort in Ubud, but the location tagged in her latest photos didn't match. That villa was nowhere near the resort. It was private, exclusive, and now I knew who she was sharing it with. Jared. I checked his social media next. His profile was mostly fitness videos, motivational nonsense about pushing limits. But then I noticed something. His location history was disabled. His posts were generic, pre-scheduled. Nothing recent. Almost like he was trying to stay off the grid. My stomach churned with rage. They were being careful. Careful not to leave a trail. Careful not to get caught. But they had slipped up. And now I was onto them. I closed my laptop and sat back, exhaling slowly. The old me, the trusting, devoted husband, would have confronted her already, would have demanded answers. But that man was dead. The man I was now? He wanted revenge. And I was going to make sure Emily lost everything. I spent the day preparing. Not in the way a man should when his wife is away. No longing texts, no wistful glances at old pictures. No, I spent the day like a strategist mapping out a battlefield. Emily thought she was being careful, but she had no idea who she was up against. The first thing I did was dig deeper into Jared. His name was easy enough to find in business directories. He ran his own personal training company, marketed himself as an elite fitness coach for wealthy clients. His website was polished, full of success stories and motivational jargon. But buried in the glowing reviews were a few interesting complaints. Unprofessional behavior. Overly familiar with female clients. Fired from 2 gyms before starting his own business. Wish I had known before hiring him. Not what he seems. I smirked. This was the kind of man Emily had fallen for? A guy who couldn't even hold a steady job without sleeping his way into trouble? This wasn't just about her betrayal anymore. It was about who she had chosen to betray me for. Pathetic. I leaned back in my chair, fingers tapping absently on the desk. Emily's affair wasn't just a moment of weakness. It was calculated. Jared wasn't some random stranger. She had brought him into our lives. Into our home. Into our routine. She had trained with him. Let him charm her. Let this thing grow in the shadows while I sat there, blind and trusting. But now? Now I had the advantage. I wasn't going to call her out on it. Not yet. I was going to let her think she was still in control. I picked up my phone and sent her another message. Me, I've been thinking, maybe I should come out to Bali for a weekend. Surprise you. Just us. No distractions. I stared at the screen, waiting. It took her 2 minutes to reply. Emily. Oh babe, that would be amazing. But the retreat schedule is so packed. I'd barely get to see you. Disappointed face. There it was. The panic. The immediate attempt to shut the idea down before I could push it further. I smiled to myself. She was nervous. Good. Me. I get it. Maybe when you get back, we can plan something. Keep her comfortable. Let her believe the lie was still holding. Because the truth was, I wasn't planning to fly to Bali. I had something better in mind. I was going to welcome her home in a way she'd never forget. And when I was done, she wouldn't just lose me. She'd lose everything. She had no idea. That was the best part. Emily was still sending me sweet little messages from Bali, still pretending to be the devoted wife on a journey of self-discovery. Meanwhile, I was here, carefully, methodically pulling the rug out from under her. The first step was making sure I wasn't the only one who knew. I started small. Her best friend, Rachel. Rachel and Emily had been close since college, but I always had the feeling Rachel wasn't entirely convinced by our marriage. She liked me well enough, but she was fiercely loyal to Emily. If Emily ever had secrets, Rachel was the vault that held them. So I cracked the vault. I called her that evening, kept my voice light and casual. Hey Rach, just checking in. Have you heard from him? She hesitated, and I knew right then. I was right to suspect her. She texted me earlier, Rachel said. Said the retreat's been amazing. You know how she is, always off doing her own thing. There it was. That slight strain in her voice. The guarded way she spoke, like she was afraid of stepping on a landmine. I decided to push a little further. Yeah, she seems really busy. Kind of weird, though. I checked the resort she's supposed to be at, and it doesn't match up with the places she's been posting from. Silence. A long, uncomfortable silence. Then, finally, what are you saying? I let out a quiet sigh, like a man reluctantly facing a painful truth. I think Emily's lying to me. Another pause. Then Rachel exhaled sharply. Look, I don't know anything for sure. Okay? She told me about the retreat, but she's been vague about the details. If something's going on, She stopped herself, but it was too late. She knew. I could hear it in her voice. She knew. Maybe not everything, but enough to suspect. Enough to have kept her mouth shut while her best friend stabbed me in the back. I could have blown up right then, could have yelled, could have demanded the truth. But I didn't. Instead, I let my voice go quiet. Rachel, I need to know. If Emily's cheating on me, I deserve the truth. She hesitated. Then, finally, she cracked. I don't know for sure, she admitted. But there's been someone. A guy. I didn't want to believe it, but yeah. It felt like a punch to the gut, hearing her say it out loud. Even though I knew, even though I had seen the evidence with my own eyes, having someone else confirm it made it real in a way I wasn't prepared for. I swallowed the rage, the heartbreak, the humiliation. Thanks for being honest, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. She sighed. I'm sorry, really. I love him, but she's making a huge mistake. She had no idea how right she was. I ended the call and sat there for a long time, gripping my phone so tightly my knuckles went white. Emily had been lying to everyone, and now I had someone else in my corner. This was no longer just a suspicion, no longer just a theory. Emily was cheating. Rachel knew she was cheating. And now? Now it was time for me to move from gathering proof to taking action. Emily still thought she was winning. That was my favorite part. She was halfway across the world, tangled up with Jared in some private villa, sending me sweet little texts like a devoted wife while I sat here, pulling the strings of her downfall. But I wasn't just going to catch her. That was too simple. I was going to ruin her. I had the first confirmation from Rachel, but that wasn't enough. I needed something undeniable, something she couldn't weasel her way out of with a sob story and fake tears. So I made my next move. I sent Emily a text. Hey babe, I was thinking, maybe I'll do something for myself while you're gone. Book a little weekend retreat of my own. It took her longer than usual to reply. Emily. Oh, that's great. You deserve some relaxation too. Too quick, too eager, too relieved. Yeah, maybe somewhere tropical. I was even looking at Bali. This time, her reply came instantly. Emily. Wait, Bali? There it was. That little pulse of panic. Yeah, why not? Maybe I'll even stay near your resort. Wouldn't it be nice to surprise you? Her response took almost 5 minutes to come through. Emily. Babe, I love the idea, but I don't want you to waste money on a last-minute trip. The retreat is super strict about guests, and I wouldn't even have time to see you. I stared at the message, feeling my smile sharpen into something colder. Liar. She was scrambling. She didn't know how much I knew, but she knew she had to shut the idea down before I got too close. I could almost picture her now, sitting in that villa, reading my text with wide eyes, heart pounding, maybe even throwing a worried glance at Jared. Good. Let her sweat. You're right. Maybe I'll wait. I miss you, though. I sent the message and waited. Waited for her to settle back into her comfort, into her carefully constructed illusion. Waited for her to think she was safe again. Because the moment she did, I'd strike. And when I was done, Emily wouldn't just lose me. She'd lose everything. Emily thought she had dodged a bullet. She didn't know I was the one loading the gun. After our little exchange, she went right back to playing the devoted wife. Sweet messages. A couple of photos. Ones that were carefully curated, making sure no trace of Jared was in them. It was impressive, really. How seamlessly she wove her lie. How effortlessly she played her part. But there was one thing she didn't realize. I wasn't the same man she had left behind. I wasn't sitting here, heartbroken, waiting for her to come home and feed me another dose of her poison. No, I was preparing for war. And the first step? Proof. Rachel's reluctant confession had confirmed my suspicions, but I needed more. Something tangible. Something indisputable. So I went digging. Emily was careful, but not careful enough. Her laptop was still here. Locked, of course, but I knew her passwords, or at least, the ones she used before she started sneaking around. It took me 4 tries before I got in, and what I found, it was worse than I imagined. She had been smart about hiding things. No messages, no obvious photos. But she had one weakness. The cloud. Her phone was connected to her laptop. Every photo she took, every video, was synced automatically. And there they were. Not just a few secret snapshots. Dozens of them. Emily and Jared, lying by a private pool, drinks in hand. Emily, pressed against him in a dimly lit restaurant. A video, one I barely let myself register, of them kissing, her arms wrapped around his neck. My stomach twisted. But the pain? It was secondary now, because now I had exactly what I needed. I sat there for a long time, staring at the evidence, feeling something inside me shift. This wasn't just about betrayal anymore. This was about making her regret ever thinking she could deceive me. And with these photos, these videos, I was going to tear her world apart. I just had to decide where to start. There's a moment, right before impact, when time slows down. Like when you drop a glass and for a split second, it just hangs there, weightless, waiting for the inevitable shatter. That's where Emily was right now, hanging, suspended in the perfect little world she had built with her lies, completely unaware that gravity was about to do its job. And I was going to be the force that sent everything crashing down. I didn't react immediately after finding the photos. No angry calls. No texts demanding an explanation. That would be too easy. Emily had built her affair on secrecy, on careful deception. If I wanted to dismantle her world, I had to do it the same way. So I started with Jared. I dug into him first. Social media. Business records. I wanted to know everything about the man who thought he could take what was mine. And what I found, it was almost too perfect. Jared was living the kind of life that depended on his reputation. He wasn't just a personal trainer. He was a high-end fitness coach for wealthy clients, most of them women like Emily. And guess what? A lot of these women, they were married, which meant that if word got out that Jared was screwing his clients, his business would burn to the ground overnight. He didn't just risk losing Emily. He risked losing everything. I let that knowledge settle, let myself savor it. Then I took the next step. I made a new, anonymous email account. No name, no traceable details. And I sent Jared a message. From unknown to Jared's business email. Subject, I know. Message, hope you're enjoying Bali. I know you are. Emily seems to be having a great time, too. You should really be more careful about where you take pictures. Would be a shame if your other clients found out how you treat professional relationships. I wonder how many of them would keep paying you if they knew. But don't worry. I'm a reasonable man. I don't want to ruin your life, yet. Let's see how this plays out. Send. I leaned back, feeling the smallest flicker of satisfaction. I didn't expect a reply. I didn't need one. All I needed was for the first crack to form. For Jared to start looking over his shoulder. For the fear to creep in. For him to start making mistakes. Because once the crack started, the whole damn thing would fall apart. Jared cracked faster than I expected. It took less than an hour. I was sitting at the kitchen table, sipping my coffee, watching the seconds tick by when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Who the hell is this? I smirked. He was already unraveling. I let him sit with the silence for a while. Let the paranoia settle into his bones. Then, I replied. Me? Does it matter? No response for a full 5 minutes. Then, unknown number. What do you want? I didn't want money. I didn't want to make demands. Not yet. That would have been too obvious. No, I wanted him scared. Me? Relax, Jared. I'm just watching. Enjoy your trip. I imagined him sitting up in bed, Emily beside him, his heart pounding. Was he sweating? Was he darting nervous glances around their private villa, wondering who had seen them? Good. He should be scared. I left him on read. Let him stew. Let his own mind do the rest of the work for me. Because I wasn't the one who would ruin Jared. He was going to ruin himself. The second crack. Later that night, I got another message. Emily, hey babe, how was your day? I almost laughed. She was still playing the role of the loving wife, sending me updates about her yoga sessions and meditation walks while she was tangled up with another man. Did she know Jared was panicking? Had he told her? Probably not. Jared had more to lose than she did. He wouldn't want her to know that someone was watching, which meant they weren't on the same page anymore. A beautiful, beautiful thing. Me, good day. Just been thinking about how much I miss you. Let her feel safe. Let her think I was still clueless. Because the moment she stepped off that plane, that's when I would rip the mask right off her face. Jared was cracking. I knew at the moment he stopped replying. For a guy who had been so quick to demand answers, his silence now spoke volumes. He was probably pacing their villa, phone in hand, trying to figure out if someone was watching him, if someone had already talked, if his entire career was about to go up in flames. The best part? He couldn't do anything about it. If he told Emily, she'd panic. If he ignored it, the unknown would eat at him. Either way, the damage was already done. Now, it was Emily's turn. I needed her just comfortable enough to walk right into my trap. So I sent her a message. Hey love. I was thinking, maybe I'll plan something special for your return. Just you and me. Something unforgettable. She answered almost immediately. Emily. Ah, that sounds amazing. You're the best, babe. Red heart. I stared at the screen, shaking my head. She had no idea. None. She thought she was coming home to the same devoted husband she had left behind. The one who trusted her. The one who would welcome her back with open arms, eager to hear about her journey of self-discovery. But the man she was coming home to? He wasn't playing the fool anymore. The final confirmation. I needed one last piece of the puzzle, so I called Rachel. She answered on the third ring. Hey. She sounded nervous. Good. I need to ask you something, I said, keeping my tone even. And I need you to be honest with me. A pause. Then, okay. Did Emily tell you who she was going to Bali with? Rachel hesitated. Too long. I almost smiled. You already know, don't you? I pressed. She exhaled sharply. Look, I didn't want to lie to you, okay? But it wasn't my place to say anything. I closed my eyes. There it was. The final nail in the coffin. So it's true, I said quietly. She's with Jared. A long silence. Then, barely above a whisper. Yes. I let the words settle in the air, feeling its weight. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't hurt. I was ready. Ready to give Emily a homecoming she'd never forget. The day of her return arrived faster than I expected. I had spent the past week preparing, silently, carefully, making sure every piece of my plan was perfectly in place. Emily still thought everything was normal. She had no idea that while she was soaking up the sun with Jared, I had been working behind the scenes to burn her world to the ground. Her flight landed at 6:40 p.m. I didn't go to the airport. I let her take a taxi home, probably expecting to walk through the door and find me waiting with open arms, pretending to be the devoted husband who had missed her every second she was gone. Instead, she walked into a crime scene. Not a literal one, of course. But to her, it might as well have been. Every single piece of evidence, her photos, the videos, her messages with Jared, was laid out across the dining room table. Printed, highlighted, undeniable. And at the center of it all, the wedding album. Pages ripped out. Certain pictures missing. She stood in the doorway, suitcase still in hand, her tanned skin paling as her eyes darted over the wreckage. And then she saw me, sitting calmly at the kitchen counter, sipping a glass of whiskey like this was just any other night. Hey, Em, I said, voice smooth, casual. How was your retreat? Her lips parted, but no words came out. I gestured toward the table. I took the liberty of putting together a little scrapbook while you were gone. Thought you might like to see what I've been up to. She didn't move, didn't blink. I could see her brain trying to catch up, trying to find a way out of this, trying to piece together just how much I knew. So I made it easier for her. I pulled out my phone, tapped a few times, and slid it across the counter. A video started playing. It was her and Jared. Not just a picture. A video, taken from her own cloud storage. Jared's hands on her waist, her lips on his. Their bodies far too close in that dimly lit villa. I watched the blood drain from her face. No, she whispered. This isn't. Don't. I cut her off, my voice calm but razor sharp. Don't insult me by lying. Not anymore. She clamped her mouth shut. Good. I picked up my glass, taking another slow sip. So tell me, Em, how do you want to do this? Should I call your parents first? Or would you rather explain to them why our marriage is over? Her breath hitched. We can talk about this? I laughed. A real laugh. Talk? Like how you talk to Jared. I shook my head. No, Em. We're past talking. She swallowed hard, her hands trembling. She was finally realizing it. This wasn't just me leaving her. I had been busy while she was gone. I had already contacted a divorce lawyer. I had already locked her out of our joint bank accounts. I had already sent Jared's clients an anonymous email with screenshots of his little affair. And most importantly, I had already decided exactly how much I wanted her to suffer. Her eyes welled with tears. I made a mistake. I leaned back in my chair, tilting my head. Yeah, you did. She took a shaky step forward. I still love you, No, you don't, I said simply. You love yourself. You love your little fantasy. But me? I smiled coldly. You lost me the second you let another man touch you. Silence. Heavy. Suffocating. She knew there was no coming back from this. So I stood up, drained the last of my whiskey, and set the glass down with a soft clink. Get out. She flinched like I had struck her. Wait. Get out. And this time, she listened. She turned, grabbed her suitcase, and walked out the door. No goodbyes. No desperate apologies. Because she knew, just as well as I did, she had already lost everything. The moment the door shut behind her, I let out a slow breath. It was done. I stood there for a while, staring at the empty space where she had just been, half expecting her to come back, to beg, to scream, to fight. But she didn't. She knew she had no fight left to win. I had taken everything from her before she even realized the game had changed. And now I got to watch her world collapse. Jared Burns first. I didn't have to wait long. 2 days later, the first domino fell. Jared's entire career went up in flames. Turns out, wealthy clients don't take kindly to finding out their personal trainer is sleeping with married women behind their backs. Especially not their friends. The emails I had sent out, anonymous, precise, laced with just enough evidence, spread like wildfire. One by one, his clients dropped him. A few of them even posted about it. Disgusting behavior. Never again. I trusted him. I was stupid to trust him. Looks like I'm not the only one he was training. And then his sponsors started pulling out. His brand deals? Gone. His influencer partnerships? Terminated. By the end of the week, his entire business was on the verge of collapse. I could have stopped there. But why would I? I wanted to make sure he felt it. So I made one last move. I sent him a text, this time from my real number. Me, hope it was worth it. His reply came fast. Jared, you son of a bitch. You ruined me. I smirked. Me? No, Jared. You did that all on your own. Emily's turn. She tried to call me. Twice. Both times, I let it ring. Then the text started. Emily, please, can we just talk? Emily, I made a mistake. I was lost. But I love you. I never wanted to lose you. Emily, you're destroying my life. I laughed at that one, because the truth was, she had already destroyed mine. I just made sure she didn't get to walk away unscathed. Her perfect image, devoted wife, loving partner, golden girl, was starting to crack. Rachel wasn't keeping her secrets anymore. People were talking. Her parents, our friends, everyone was finding out. She wasn't the innocent wife who went on a spiritual retreat anymore. She was the woman who threw away her marriage for a cheap fling. And now she was alone. Exactly like she deserved. The best revenge? Moving on. I should have felt empty, hollow, like I had lost something that mattered. But instead, I felt lighter, freer. For the first time in years, I wasn't living in Emily's shadow. I wasn't trying to be the man she wanted, the one she could barely appreciate. I was just me. And the best part? I had everything ahead of me. She had nothing. And I had already won. A month passed. 30 days without Emily. 30 days without her lies, without her excuses, without the weight of betrayal pressing down on my chest. And I had never felt better. She, on the other hand, she was drowning. The last message. Emily didn't stop trying to reach me. At first, it was apologies. Then, desperation. And finally, anger. The last message she sent came late one night. Emily, you think you won? You think you're better than me? I stared at the screen for a long time, debating whether to answer. Then, Finally, I typed out one last response. Me? I don't think I won. I know I did. Blocked. Deleted. Gone. That was the last time I ever heard from her. Moving forward, I won't lie and say there weren't bad days. Some nights, I'd wake up and feel the echo of everything that had happened. The memories of what we used to be. The what-ifs. But then I'd remind myself, she wasn't that woman anymore. Maybe she never was. And me? I wasn't the same man she walked all over. I was free. And that was all the closure I ever needed. The final thought. Betrayal has a way of shaping a person. You either let it break you, turn you bitter, make you afraid to trust again, or you use it to build something better, stronger. That's what I did. And Emily? She became nothing more than a lesson. A ghost of the past. A reminder of the one simple, undeniable truth. She lost a man who would have given her the world. And I walked away with everything. The end. If you like this story, please like and subscribe to the channel.